The lights, the battery, this is the second half of the video. The first video gave a little bit background about who we are. I am a social worker. I have worked 10 years on my own, more than 10 years in the social sector, apart from the background that I've had and exposure that I've had growing up. Um, my father was a very eminent person in the Kolkata circles, particularly for his work for crisis intervention, counseling, and as somebody once, oh, he didn't just run a counseling center. Sorry, he was one of the first people to rescue children from the Howrah platform. He was one of the first people to work with rickshaw pullers, and actually he did that work. He was the first person to start something called Pavement Club, an extremely novel idea. Visionary and a man, a go-getter, and a very effervescent type of person. You could feel his presence. I would walk past the office once, and at the gate, the they were terrified of him. अभी हम बात नहीं कर सकता आपसे. They would tell me, even to look at in my direction. Something about him, and also the kind of discipline he had. He was an amazing artist, very, very creative, very neat, organized person. One of the things I've always noted growing up is the way he folded a letter. Those days when we were growing up, you would see a letter was first typed, and the way he would very flamboyantly sign his name. And the way a person signs a name speaks of their character. He just had a very flamboyant way of writing his name. I've never seen anybody sign a name with so much of an artistic handwriting. Very rarely use his hand to write, but his letters are very well aligned. And also, when he folded the letter, he would fold in a particular way so that there were no bending. And the way he would place it, even the way the envelope was printed, and he would do all the posters for. He was the chairman of Keswick, so he would do all the posters. As children, we watched him, and I enjoyed every part of my father's life, even professional life. Made a great impact on me as a daughter, and he is a visionary. um, Nobody else co-founded with him. I really want to bring this to the platform. May hate me or love me for it. You have helped people who helped uh, him, and that's how God instituted something. Is that when we're doing ministry work, you have a person who's a visionary and the other is a helper. And so, yeah, in our role of doing anything in a ministry or the body of Christ, you have somebody with visionary work, somebody who has prophetic gifts, and he had prophetic gifts also. So, being a visionary, you will have prophetic gifts, right? He had that, and some of the things he said, I paid heed to. I was wanting. He was not the typical father-daughter relationship. He was not, because there was certain element of narcissism in their lifestyle. So they had their own pain and they brought it in the household. And but he was a man who was there for a job. End of story. And we were just part of it. And a friend, a classmate of mine, said this to me, that he was like a tree who actually drew his strength from his family and brought forth. We were all his supporters. We had to join in, sing songs, whatever, bring people to table, and because that was part and parcel of him being who he was, but also we benefited from that. It wasn't something like one way street where she actually, even as a wife or anything, that she got that respect which she had never got anywhere. Even though you have a husband, that you have somebody who was very loving, kind husband, never violent, never, ever. Wonderful husband, wonderful provider, caring. Some people don't give flowers, so don't fly into a rage. I mean, they're here, or they're not being romantic, or they're only for work, work, work. And it's okay to sit down, talk to someone. Don't have tantrums, she had, is to sit down and say, like, I want to feel loved, I don't feel loved. You're neglecting me. Speak straight. And it always helps in any relationship. If a person is not getting the message, then find another job. She got a job in British Airways, secretary, with salary. She didn't want to take it. And what I'm saying is that if you had taken that job, you would have had your own money, your own space, and you would be that would be far more stronger message to give if a person was not giving you desired effect. But there are people who want to take both sides, the whole thing catered. So and then it gets very, very toxic after some time, is that there's a whole pile of complaints that keep building up. The unhappiness, most of it was that there was a deep undercurrent where they didn't want, that they wanted everything in the end. And so in narcissism, people have allies and they build their allies. It doesn't happen overnight, it takes time, effort. And what was the other part of the story is that if we are doing ministry work, we have to stay under the anointing. And it may not look hunky dory. Most times, there will come a time where your call will be just like I faced recently. What I'm saying is that we stay under that anointing, that call, that searching, that prayer time, and it is regardless of the money. I believe I've written a book because I'll talk about Naaman, and the story of Naaman is that he had to, he was commander in chief. When he was being commander in chief of the Syrian army, the king used to lean on him for going to the temple for prayer. That's a big deal, right? You're seen in front of the whole wide world, and then if you are not there, then you are not anywhere, you know. And he developed a skin disease, which probably smelled also under the armor. And the king cannot hold somebody who has a leprous disease, right? So then the issue arose what to do. Here, God intervenes in the life of somebody who is not a Jew, right? And someone who's an enemy. And God, who intervened in that situation, brought someone, used a small slave to change the life of her master. And also, she was a peace for both the countries. Small, ordinary servant woman, girl, slave girl, that she reached out to her mistress who was weeping because if he lost her, they would be nowhere, right? And the state of her husband. So then we have to understand how God, with small, ordinary things, will change the life of someone, right? And here, this young girl told him that my prophet Elijah, he will heal you. Go, right? So he has a different view. He heard the stories from her about Moses and how the Jews, the story is everywhere. Everybody knew that story. So he went. When he arrived, Elijah the prophet never even came out of the house. He just told him, "You go there and bathe in the river." First, he went to the king, because, with letters and all. King said, "How can I heal anybody?" King just lost it. He flew into a rage. He robes and all. The story reached the prophet. Prophet sent him. When he came, Naaman thought that Elijah will come out, fanfare, a wand would be, some magic, and then he would go back whole and gifts and all, grandiose. Which is absolutely reverse, in which Elijah said, just go and bathe 7 times in the river. And of course, I have written in my book, so, in a very graphic way, he didn't want to go. He had a blue fit, literally hissy fit on that outside. He thought that Elijah, what does he think of himself? Blah, blah, dirty river. all this. But he went. Finally, the servants fell at his feet, begged and pleaded. So he said, okay, just try it once. I mean, he said 7 times, what is there? Dirty river, blue, green, whatever, get in, you know. And he went. When he got in, one, two, three, four, five, and, you see the faith of God 7 times perfect. The number seven is very important. That in the seventh year. I'm saying this because when Joseph, after 7 years, he became uh, he became king, prime minister of uh, Egypt, right? 7 years, and the seventh year. I don't want to say this here because we've completed 7 years actually, and I'm just saying God intervened in that situation, and Naaman became in the seventh dip. He came out. His flesh was like a child, this brand new. Like, there was absolute exuberance at that point, where he came and he said, "Whatever gifts you want." And Elijah did not come out. He said, "Send him back. No, we don't want anything. It's okay. Please go." Right? And all Elijah said, "I have only one request." He said that I believe in your God, but I have to take my king into the temple. So if I bend with him, I do not worship him. That's okay. God sees the heart, not the action. I want to explain this to you. Very important thing is that he's God of everyone. It's not about whether you're Hindu, Muslim, or Greek, or you're in a temple, out of a temple. He doesn't care. What he wants to see is that a world is a better place. And his availability has always been very, very, very clear from the very beginning. Baby Nebuchadnezzar, because he brought Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonians, to the Israelis because they were disobedient. Right? In the story, previous video talked about Gideon. The Assyrians are very vicious. Everything that Assyrians or Babylonians had was 20 times like Americanized version of their burgers, right? Huge. Everything about them, they were tall, massive, whatever. And even their statues and everything is humongous, right? They were competition for with the Egyptians. If you were to talk about in a political embargo about Israel, the Israelites were actually just small Chinimuntu type of people. They were shepherds. They were insignificant. That's why God picked them, because he could display his power. God is not interested in the strength of a horse or chariot, or what he wants to see, the manifestation of who he really is. That's why these people totally blown off their feet, because they know what is power, strength, and this small people, shepherd people, look what they've become today, right? It is God himself being manifested through them as an ordinary people, as a nobody, as a castaway, as shepherds. Shepherds have no patta in Egypt, right? They're treated as outsiders, yeah, outcasts, right? When you think about God, who is interested in his manifestation of who he is, that's why he picked them. There's a lot of rendition about the children of Israel. I will write this in a separate book. What God talks about them, how he feels about them, the love and affection he feels for the people of Israel, and what they mean to him like children. When it came to the build up of Jesus Christ, they rejected his son. Jesus Christ gives in a parable. So then God's justice is made manifest. Because if I beat up somebody, God forbid, I mean, if you attack somebody's child, and this is what happened in my household, so I'm seeing this. If you attack someone's child, there is definitely going to be an action, right? You attack the parent won't say anything so much, but a child, their children, their family, there's definitely going to be a kind of counter attack, or a reaction from that quarter, right? So I gave this story of Naman because what I want to tell you is that when Naman was leaving, Gehazi ran after the things of Haman. What happens is he didn't, when he ran after Naaman's things, he also ran after what was the disease. and it was only for two dresses. Two dresses, betrayal, the lie, the cheating, the fraud, whatever. It's not much, but that craving, that feeling, and how they did it. This is how the enemy works. They did it to me. That's what I'm saying. What they said is, we want to give to somebody else. So the plot is, they will keep one guinea pig in the middle, like a Shanaz or some other person, and then uh, आप यहाँ बात करिए, we will, and they give a different story to her, so she will cooperate, yeah, and also she'll get some money also, right? And then this portion is that it is going to her. They said they will give it to her. They won't give it to her. They won't give her. They'll kill her. God, they will remove them. There isn't anybody, in fact. They have a fictitious father, fictitious mother, fictitious everything. And this is the story which I want to bring out to you, is that this is the deception that people operated today, right? So now we are going back to the 2024 story, in which we had asked for our money, right? Knowing full well that the amount they have taken from us, we had a house in Chantikere, it was sold to Derek. We had another house, it was sold again to him. We had a 42 crores something from that bank, HSBC Bank. He won't give it because HSBC Bank was Anthony Quinn, and he was the former husband of Anita Biswas, Canon Biswas. They don't want to give. We wrote to him, they don't want to give the money. We've done work with other foundations like Future Hope, there also. It is not about the money, it's the support we give, the recognition for the work we have done. The kind of, where is this mango story in between? I can't understand. And then on top of that, there is other people who have their own best interest in building their own corporate empire, and they don't care how they get it. So when you talk about the mining business today in India, is a frightening business. When Nelson went to work in the mines, after 2 months he came running home. हमको मार डालेगा, ये सब करेगा, whatever. He came home because Binzu was alone, and we didn't have a house, right? So when Abdul called him at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what it was, and I feel that my child was all alone in that house. Neither could I stay there, or they would allow us to stay. They would allow me to stay with my son. And extremely close family. So where we are in one place, when it came to really their lifestyle is just only going to church is the only salvation at the most. Maybe there be some colleagues, but they have prayer in the house. Now they are going to the church. They go to the church only once it show off, nothing else. They are on a trip, which they either want to smear campaign or slander or to show up or upstate somebody. That's the only reason why they go, right? So I am doing this video, and it's something, I'm not happy doing this video. Believe me, I have to say it because it's not about going looking back. It's about setting the record straight. And for one thing is that I need my money back. It's not about me feeling bad about myself and I'm just crawling with this pain. Nothing like that. I'm very fine. I only want to speak about one thing, is that I don't want anybody to go through the same drama that I've been through. And secondly, it's really important people really get to know what really happened, what was the real truth of the matter, and how we need our money back, right? So, how did the 42 crores come out of the bank? It was kept there. It was hidden by this family. They use the sway infrastructure to whatever, maybe, any. They said to me that they have some friends in the bank, and that was the end. We can't find the money, right? On top of that, there was they used this poetry for conversation, and a woman by the name of Julie Mehta came. Julie Mehta is a very, literature type of person, and she was reading a poetry. I also read my poem. She told me, "You read your poems, a lot of verbs, right?" She was in Canada, it seems. Bengali lady, um, and she came here. So they got hold of her, and a woman who wants money, they paid her money. They dragged. Yeah, I was dragged to this club, and I couldn't. I was hungry. I'm not eating for anything. Either the woman, she come there, then she pulled me there, and then the club, and then she got this much cash in her bag. She took out the cash like this to pay the guy, you know. And so they were paid money to take out the 42 crores. So I feel that this man, Derek Man, has something to do with it. And the signature, we were sitting Kotak Bank, went to this Kotak Insurance. Mrs. Pavamani dropped me to that office so they know where I'm going. And as soon as I got down, they found out. It was very easy to go there and say some story, and the guy rolled up the paper in front of me. And now we have got it, and he left. And the signature was done in another place by which it said that they wanted to remove the money and take it out. So they needed a signature. I couldn't sign because they drugged me the previous day. I am not disabled, mentally garbled in any form. But if I give you a tepid coffee, which is full, the coffee had to be tepid, certain temperature for it to take that kind of drug. And she was party to it. She told me, "Don't come now, go home," because she got something for it. And this is the repeated thing which they did. We did the project with Sultan Ahmed, the same thing. We didn't drag me then, but she came running back. Now Ranjana had a stroke, so she had to take her in Pune, and what they got money from APJ Surendra Group, that is Donald Woodward or whoever. And what she did, Pravita is a very chalu type of person, is they showed a bill in a hotel, 50,000, where she retained all our money. She won't give it. She retained the money. She made a group, and we all had to be on the. Kavita didn't want to be on the group, but she forced her. And then they made all the sisters together. So, there is an issue here is that um, Kavi doesn't like to be seen with everyone. She wanted her own identity. Um, and they are with this family, right? She's with this family. So, anyway, they got this money from this family. I guess they helped them. And it's my money actually, because I earned it and payment. And they used it for Ranjana's recovery, right? And so they went there, and I told very clearly that when you are staying in Pune, she's having a housing issue. So first thing is, then make sure she remains. And if she is in Pune, make sure that she is there. Make sure she's there. Just a moment, I just need to get the phone. So here we are in this situation. She had a stroke, so they were supposed to get her out. I told her, give her a house, let her stay there, get a servant to spend. Do not spend money in hotel. Nobody paid any heed. And Gupta made arrangement for her to stay in Goa, from Pune to Goa to drive, because the money they wasted, you know. And there are people who are there present in that Pune who would have helped Ranjana. What they did was they got hold of the auto driver, whoever, and she gave the key and they opened all my papers, my palace papers were with Ranjana. Okay. They emptied out the cupboard, full cupboard emptied. So I don't have, right? My dismay. The same time I was applying for a job. So the interview went out of the window. And then they told that they're bringing her here. They took her and she was in Pune. She had a blue fit. Suddenly, she felt that you're speaking against me. She wanted to put Ranjana in a mental asylum. You see, I could sense something was wrong from here. I just prayed. You know, I have only one sister actually. She's my only own sister, grandiose, whatever. But there's sometimes she can, if she comes around, she can really be of help. She was at the beginning, she never told me that she had papers. If she had just opened her mouth once and told me, Nanu, I have the paper, I would have helped her a lot. But she didn't want to give it. She didn't want to give the paper, she didn't want to give anything. And at that time, what they did was, previous to that, they made Abhinav sign. So they sold the house. So we didn't have any money. I never had. Not a He had some cash. Previously, other people paid him my money. He pretended like he doesn't have. Whatever he stood there, his father came running and told, don't give any cash, they will pay if she's coming here. Okay. So this arrangement was made, right? And now he is, I'm alone now. I can't go any ministry work. My NGO work, all whatever I try to save, there was in between a call. I need to go to a temple, whatever. This lady's, because Ranjana's plan was to use this mother story, right? Holy Spirit later on called her enemy. And she was from the very beginning part and parcel of this plot to dig my grave. I will say this outright because she saw it in vision, something to do with some cars. She told us long ago, हमको गाड़ी मिलेगा, हमको मिलेगा, all. So she planned this whole thing. When she got a stroke, she was going to die. I prayed, God save her, please, Jesus. I don't know whether I prayed the right prayer because when we called up, there was a pause. And because of that, our NGO suffered. But I will tell you, God gave me a dream many years ago. And He showed me two things. That dream came to pass. I mean, first He showed me in a vision after she came here, she was a lot of trouble. Just she found out where Zed Al Naya and she came out. First of all, we have a Zoom session with the sister. She didn't want the Zoom. She cut the Zoom. Then she separated me and Kavi. After years, my sister talks to me, gone. Then after that, she broke this, made, wrote emails to everyone, told different stories. Then she was a cat and dog story. And that we are not feeding the cats. There were some cats lying there, not my cats. I can't feed somebody else's cat. I will be in trouble, God forbid, right? They have the cat, they will pounce on me, right? So We give milk sometimes to the cat, but we are a little bit afraid. And once you give, no, you have to keep doing it. That is why we didn't do it. It's not that we don't care for the animals. I don't like any cruelty to animals. I will come running out of the house if somebody beats a dog, right? I will. I have intervened many times. But what I'm saying is that we can't undertake that responsibility because we are not beggars. I've been a salary 11,000. And if you take responsibility of a dog, you do it all the time. You're not sure whether we'll be there, you know. And I partly also because we've seen her with 19 dogs being fed. It became like we were pulling out money out of our pocket, sending her money. I had a cousin who sent me 10,000. From there, I sent her every month 2,000. Every month, I sent her money. Whenever she had made up enough, refilled her phone, we would send her money. She didn't starve. She spent all the money on the dog when she was starved. And she was not taking her PP tablets. That's what she told me. And so she blamed Santosh. Both of them sort of went through my NGO like a lawnmower. I will not even tell you the amount of damage those two did. So after all that, I forgave her. I'm supposed to be a bad person in the story, right? God forbid.